Good morning, 5:40 a.m. In this video I will talk to you about two sheets or maybe three sheets from my productivity box. Let's see. This box is, I put all the paperwork in there. Like sometimes Jehovah's Witnesses come over and they give me the Watchtower or some other magazine. I just pop everything in there, and one day I will get to it. Alright, I found this piece of paper when I was working as a custodian at the public schools. It says, "I have plans for the future." And it's a fill-in-the-blank piece of paper. That was the title, "I have plans for the future." Then it's got four or five questions. When I'm in 6th grade, I hope, and then a blank line. When I'm in high school, I would like to. When I'm 25 years old, I hope I will be. When I grow up, I would really like to, blank. If I could have 3 wishes for my future, I would wish for, and they could draw it or they could write it in. So when I was about 10 or 12, I said, well, two things I knew I would be good at. One, I would listen to my children. The next thing, I thought I spoke with a man that was getting married. He was the camp counselor, but I was 8 years old. And he said that he was talking to all of us, that he was getting married and he was 24 years old. So I got married at 24 the first time. About beer and alcohol and cigarettes. Since I grew up with my grandparents, I thought cigarettes were for old people, grandparents. Beer and alcohol, that's for, again, I thought that was for old people. And when I tasted, the first time I tasted a cigarette, I was 7 years old or 6 or 5 with one of my relatives. He had grabbed grandma's cigarettes, but I started coughing. I didn't like it, so like, ugh. And then when I was 23, I kissed a girl that smoked cigarettes, and that completely, never again. In fact, we ended up the date right there. I mean, I took her home. She lived across the street from me. But not even across the street, across the hallway there in the building. But we just, I cannot. And she was so pretty. So, too bad. Oh, let's see. One of the best advice that a teacher once said, Sister Carol, she in 6th grade, she said, "You can't do it now, but when you're 26 years old, you can do this." And she was talking about being a nurse, or also saying that men could be a nurse. And she mentioned how she was 26 years old and it was her first year teaching. So when I grow up, I would really like to, let me answer it for myself. When I'm in high school, I would have liked to have received training on carpentry. However, I saw the carpentry teacher and he didn't look too friendly. And I saw the other students, and one of them had cut off a part of his finger. So that that was not where I wanted to be. I want to learn carpentry. However, now there is a machine that it's a table saw. It's called Saw Stop. And apparently we all have electricity in our hands, and even a hot dog, because they use a hot dog to demonstrate. The blade is cutting, and they put a hot dog there, and the blade stops. Well, there is a brake that pops up and stops the machine. And you do ruin the saw blade, but you don't cut off your finger. And then you change the saw blade. When I'm 25, wow. When I was in high school, I was shown a video about a 22-year-old boy, young man, right? I guess you're 18, you're a man. And this one, he was wealthy. He had a swimming pool, he had a house, he had a wife and kids, and he had graduated from our school. And he had worked at the stock exchange, and he had invested his money and become actually wealthy in a short amount of time, like 4 years since high school. So I wanted to be like him. I didn't make it. I didn't have kids until I was 29, I think. Yep. And that's because I didn't have confidence. Sometimes you're afraid of everything, getting the girl pregnant, or I don't have a job, or I don't have a decent job. You know, I make $4.50 an hour. I mean, I don't have a car. Like, and then in Miami, I was like, how is it possible I don't meet any girls? And in Honduras, there were so many. When I went to Europe, there were so many. Why was it that I met so many girls and I missed the boat at that time? It's really dealing with money, but at the same time, you're walking around and you don't run into anyone. You don't run into anyone your own age. One time I was crossing the street and I moved a little bit faster and I said hi to this girl, and then she says, I'm 16 and I'm Canadian. And I said, nice to meet you. I'm Daniel. I'm from Honduras. I'm 24 years old. And then she said, I forgot what she said, but she said something like, I'm not allowed to talk to you or something. Then I said, oh, well, nice to meet you. See you next time. And I walked away. And now I'm thinking, I had no clue about how the law had changed, where if you're 18 and she's 16, then it's called rape if you have sex. And if she's 15, it's child rape or something, and then you go to jail, but then you come out as a sexual predator. I think that's the word. And I was in shock because my first girlfriend was 26 and I was 16. We were co-workers. She didn't know much and I didn't know anything. To the point, she said, aren't you going to come inside? And I said, I didn't say it, but I thought it. Where? The other one was when I was 19, she was 29. And there was another one briefly, so like a one time, 18, I was 18, she was, I never found out how old she was. Probably 30. And then another time, oh, but then I was 18, you know. And then 19 and 29, and then my first wife was If I was, oh, let's see, the one from this place, I was 22, she was 32. And I told her, let's go dancing. And I said, show me your ID. I said, you were born in 1962? And she said, yes. She was a cocky girl. I liked her. I used to say, hola Loli. And she said, hola Daniel. She was on vacation from the Canary Islands. Now, let's see. So the first spouse, how old was I? I was 24. She was 17 more. Whatever that number is. And looked young. Aerobics, and she was Quechua, Indian. Alright. Enjoy your life. Take care. Be better than I am.